Hi everyone, welcome to Talking Television Podcasts with Jay and Chris, and tonight we're talking about a new show. It's on Amazon Prime called The Boys.
Yeah.
So this is another comic book show, but this one's got a little bit of a different twist to it. It's supposed to be a little darker, a little more adult, and it's really not about the heroes saving people. It's, at least as advertised, it's supposed to be about people trying to take down superheroes because, they're getting too power hungry and not all more as clean as they look to be in their public persona.
Yeah, in this universe, the superheroes are more like celebrities. They've got movie deals and, they get paid for fighting crime and they've got sponsorship deals. It's really like a corporate-based structure around these superheroes and how they're constantly, trying to get paid to protect a city. I've got a superhero for you. It's going to cost this much. Mm-hmm. Hire him to fight crime. Also trying to get into the government, part of the army. It's all about making money, monetizing superheroes as opposed to just having them, fight crime for the good of everybody.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a different feel. So we're going to break down episodes 1 and 2. And then we'll do another episode next week, kind of finishing out the rest of the season. But I know everybody's kind of anxious to see what the show's about and how the reviews are. So
yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, there will be a few spoilers. Like you said, this is just for episodes 1 and 2. So episode 1 is called Name of the Game, and episode 2 is called Cherry. So if you guys have seen that, or if you just want to get a feel for what the show's about before you watch it, be a couple little spoilers, but feel free to, watch it afterwards. And like you said, we'll do a recap and a full season review after this.
Yep. So we are back to drinking whiskey on episodes again. And this week we've got the Wayne Gretzky's 99, his red cask. And this is a premium whiskey that is finished off in red wine barrels. And this bottle originally came when we were doing Warrior, season 1 of Warrior a couple weeks ago, and we kind of put it back on the shelf for a few weeks and coming back around to it. And
yeah, it's one of our favorites. It has a nice smooth finish, so it's got that nice oaky flavor to it, but also a smoother finish because of it's been a wine barrel. So yeah, I recommend it if you guys haven't tried it yet. Go pick up a bottle, and it's not too badly priced either.
Yeah, for a celebrity endorsed alcohol beverage, it's fairly cheap and decent quality, so I like it.
Yep.
All right, so The Boys. I guess history on this, it was, I think, created as a comic around a decade ago-ish by, what is the guy's name? Garth Ennis. And I believe he is the same guy that created Preacher, which is the AMC TV show based on a comic. Mm-hmm. But this got a lot of steam put behind it by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, Eric Kripke, who's known for Supernatural, which is up to season 712 by now.
Keeps coming.
Yeah, I think final season for that is coming up. And so it had a lot of good names behind it. And I think Amazon was willing and ready to just throw a pile of money, at this to try and get a younger crowd, maybe?
At this point, yeah, superhero everything is selling, it's going bananas. So this is definitely a different take from like the whole Marvel universe. If anything, it probably falls mostly like towards the DC side because it's darker. But I think where DC fails, this definitely succeeds. DC tried to show the ground level impact of, damage that superheroes can cause.
Yeah, at the beginning of Batman v Superman. Yep.
Right. And here, that's what it's all about. One of the main plot points happens in episode 1 is one of the main characters, Huey Campbell, is
Huey. It's such a cute name.
It's played by Jack
Quaid.
Jack Quaid, yeah. Who's actually the son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid.
He looks exactly like Dennis Quaid. If you cut a box out and just look right here, get rid of the hair. Yeah. Man, he looks just like him.
So this is one of his first main roles. I think he's been in a few other things, but he's a main character here. So basically, one of the superheroes, the A-Train, is just barreling down the road and just totally decimates his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. She was one step onto the street and just ran straight through her. So that's one of the 2 gory scenes I think we see up to episode 2 of people exploding, let's say. Yeah, one of the superheroes just goes straight through her, just, blood, guts, bones everywhere, and he's left holding her hands and no body.
Yeah. So let's talk about that blood. It's obviously CGI blood. They didn't use, blood packets or anything for this, but it looked pretty decent. But I think the reason it did is they really tinted it like a really dark color. It almost is like brown or black in a lot of scenes.
Right.
So it just kind of splatters, and I don't know, you don't really see like the medium color red that you see on a lot of CGI shows. So
there was just a lot of it.
Yeah, there was a lot of it.
They did kind of a 360 spin around him in slow motion as it happened, and you could see the motion of the blood moving still. So they did a good job. The graphics are good, I'd say, through the first 2.
For being a TV show, yeah. I think they saved a lot of money with the transparent man.
Yeah, anytime you have an invisible person,
They just straight up didn't have him in the box for a little while.
Yeah, well, so that's kind of the crux of it. His girlfriend dies. They bring in some corporate lawyer to try and silence him, give him a check, make him sign an NDA, and he's not having it. He wants to fight against them and make it public, and he comes across an FBI agent, Billy Butcher. And he's going to help him, kind of scratch your back, scratch my back. I've got some investigating to do. So the 2 of them fight against the 7, they're called, who's the superhero group.
Yeah, and Carl Urban plays Butcher, and in between him and Jack Quaid, there's really just huge difference in just like testosterone and masculinity levels when they're chatting face to face. Like Carl Urban really has a lot of swagger coming off, and Jack Quaid's playing like a really quiet and kind of nerdy, condensed guy.
Like a Radio Shack employee type thing.
Yeah.
So I did hear, he had to prepare for this role. He went and talked to some, like Geek Squad employees or whatever, and made sure the lingo he was talking about, made sense.
Yeah, the only thing that he didn't that didn't make sense to me, and maybe I'll have to do some research, but basically he's trying to sell somebody some stuff earlier in the episode, and basically gets her the monster cables, like the expensive cables, and says they're made out of carbon, so they conduct electricity better. And I don't think that's a thing. Usually it's gold plating.
Gold plated is, the faster. But I think they have to do that because we find out, spoiler alert, they capture the transparent man, translucent, and they're torturing him, and they find out his skin is made of carbon, so he's very...
like bulletproof and
he's bulletproof. He's he can't penetrate his skin, but he's also very conductive because his skin's made of carbon. So I think they use that to tie it all together.
Yeah, I can let it go. Not a big deal, but just something that I picked up on. Speaking of all these explosions and gore and everything, let's talk about the beginning credits. They you get a TVMA warning with a whole gauntlet of everything on there.
I think they listed everything there could be.
Yeah, and more. I mean, they had a ton of stuff there, but really, I didn't think it was a whole lot worse than what we've seen on some other shows, other than those 2 explosions.
Yeah, I would say 99% of the episode's not that gory. At least it hasn't been yet. Once again, this is just the first 2 episodes, but yeah, one person gets exploded in episode 1, one person gets exploded in episode 2. And yeah, so as far as the gore factor, that's kind of it. A little bit of language, a little bit of sex.
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. And not kind of bad as they, listed it to be. It's TVMA. Episode 1, one of the warnings is rape. And it's, that's major. That would be, bad. But I feel like it wasn't portrayed as strongly in episode 1 as... the warning made it seem like it would be. Yeah,
and we think that the part that we think that they labeled it for was when the Deep, was that his name?
The Deep is kind of, giving the newest member of the group, Starlight, a tour of their, conference room, their little lair, if you will. And he basically pressures her, into...
Getting a blowjob.
Having a sexual favor, and, she wasn't wanting to do it, but because he made it seem like he was in power, he was the number 2 in power, that if she didn't do it, she would be kicked out of the group.
Right, which we totally agree is, it's definitely a form of sexual assault and things like that, but it's not rape by definition. Rape is a totally separate thing, which we actually see twice in episode 2, which wasn't even labeled.
2, yeah, which wasn't labeled, that would be more considered, rape.
Yeah,
so
we have
they definitely toy with the
there.
lines, though, of a lot of, a lot of issues. So I think the rest of the season's probably going to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely a mature show. Don't let your kids watch it.
Yeah.
That's one thing we can say.
Yep. So our boy Jack Quaid, we both noticed he's definitely super geek. He's got a little calculator watch, which
he does.
Who has a calculator watch nowadays? Even if you're an Uber nerd, I don't know. That seems like
that's what smartphones are for.
Maybe a hipster thing. Yeah, I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, he had that, and he was also wearing like the Ramones and Nirvana shirts.
Yeah,
and at a couple different points, in some fight sequences, they had some punk rock blaring.
Yeah,
which I thought was cool, a little different.
Good choice on music.
Change up for
it's no Warrior.
Scenes.
Warrior had stellar music.
Oh man, Warrior just went through the whole gamut. So we'll see what they can throw out. You know, at this one. But yeah, one of the main superheroes is somebody we're familiar with from Banshee.
Yeah,
Anthony Starr.
Yep. So he's got the lead role in this show too, and you know what? I think he looks younger than he did in Banshee, and that came out 10 years ago almost.
Yeah, he probably looks a good 15 years younger.
Yeah.
I think just by having the clean shaven look, and he's got dyed blonde
hair.
hair. Yeah,
and just better lighting. It's it's not as dark.
So yeah, we liked him from that show, and so far he plays a little bit of a different character. He's kind of the Superman, Captain America type thing, who you think is going to be the good guy, the one that's going to be righteous and not really care about all the celebrity status that brings with it. And that may be, but we find out he downs an airplane
with a
kid on board after waving to him. Just kind of, he felt like he thought that was the right thing to do. It's not even like the boss told him to do that. In fact, when she found out that he did, she disagreed with him. Like, why would you do that? Just because he stood up to me and potentially had some blackmail. Like, that's not the right way to do it.
So his boss, Stillwell, is... I kind of like her character. Almost cutthroat, but she seems to run her business very, very well. And she seems to have a lot of new ideas where they can bring it and monetize. I mean, that's what they're doing, is monetizing the superheroes.
Yeah, from her position being the CEO of this company, like, she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Multi-billion-dollar company, always expanding. Like, she's got a huge grasp on that part of the business. So she's doing her job well. It's just the celebrity status that, comes along with her employees, the superheroes, is taken way too far.
And, her company actually seems to be very data-driven. They know exactly, if you have a team up versus a single person saving somebody, they get X number of likes more on Instagram or whatever. So
exactly.
they're very data-driven.
I feel like that's how companies are nowadays, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think they did a good job of, transposing that into the superhero world.
And the corporate feel from this really gives me a RoboCop vibe, where, they're kind of monetizing... saving people, but doing it for a corporate entity to get money and get power and to police people and stuff. And it really feels like a modern RoboCop. So that's kind of interesting.
It is cool. And so far, through episode 2, we haven't seen in detail like the 7 superheroes. We've been introduced to, I think, at least 4 of them, a little bit more in depth. But there's still a couple we really haven't, they haven't spotlighted yet.
Well, there's only 6 now.
There's only 6 now. At the end of episode 2, that's the second explosion you guys see is translucent.
Yeah, he's invisible, by the way.
He's invisible, but once his skin is penetrated, boom, it's, blood and guts everywhere.
Yep. So they kind of do what everybody's joke was, Ant-Man trying to finish off Thanos was going up the rear end and expanding. Yep, they put a bomb up there and hit the button.
Yeah,
at least our boy Jack Quaid did.
That was the only way to really take him out. They tried shooting him. They tried drilling into him. they found out they could electrify him quite easily, but in order to kill him, they had to go from the inside out. Speaking from the inside out, Butcher takes Huey into a super sex club.
Yep.
And there's all sorts of things going on. They're having sex, in midair. They're having, a stretchy guy go around.
Like a little menage a trois.
Yeah, exactly, with two guys. And then you see a little guy, kind of like Ant-Man, just run and jump, boop, head first into a girl.
Yep.
And I thought that it was, definitely a darker, more mature take on what is probably happening.
Oh yeah, there's probably all sorts of weird kinks going
real,
on.
Right? So spotlight that, trying to find out some information on A-Train, on what he said, and kind of if he knew what he did was wrong. They found a recording there. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting scene. What happened in that club?
Yeah, we also saw earlier when the Deep was kind of showing off his ding-a-ling to our girl, Starlight.
He had Louis C.K'd her.
Yeah, and he also had a little tanned mankini.
He did.
Tan line on his butt, so that was funny.
Which, he's an aqua guy, can see that happening when he's not in his, superhero getup.
Yeah.
He's wearing a little Speedo mankini bottom. I can definitely see that.
Let's talk about Starlight. So, I actually know her from another movie. So this is Erin Moriarty. She was in another movie called The Miracle Season, a volleyball movie based in Iowa about a real-life girl had died and the team had to rally and kind of win the championship thing. But she killed it in that role. But that's a very safe role to jump into something like this, which is so adult. And I don't know, it's kind of a weird leap for an actress,
So far, she's playing that kind of split role. She's got her... she's the only superhero that we see so far that, dresses... It's like her uniform, like her day job. So when she leaves the workplace, she'll change into, normal civilian clothes and kind of have her secret personality. So yeah, she's the newest member. She hasn't, been doing it long, so she's kind of not spoiled by the celebrity ways and all the money that this can bring.
Yeah, she seems to be very wholesome, and she's from Des Moines, and I don't know, her mom kind of has that drive of, do whatever it takes, but yet she's still pretty wholesome, so that, I don't know, we'll see how that plays out.
I think she's going to turn a little bit. In episode 2, we see she has an incident, where she does good. She sees this girl about to get raped in the alleyway by two guys, and she fights them, and then it's, recorded in the background by somebody, observing it, and they edit it so it looks like she's just beating up these two guys for no reason, not wearing her, superhero costume. And the company comes in and it's like crisis management. This is gonna, we gotta talk to legal, we gotta talk to these people, you can't do that.
Not only beating them up, but the fact that somebody called her out that she used to be bulimic, which is, kind of a bad representation for the company. That's not what they're really trying to sell are perfect human beings out there.
Exactly.
And she also kind of finds out that all the people they save are really just kind of set up. They get a schedule of people and where and when they're supposed to go save people. That way they don't save, or arrest the wrong person.
Wrong people.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets paired with the Deep. They get put in a mission together. And he's, bitching and moaning to her that, they only call me up when there's water involved, when that's
your gig,
that's
man.
your superpower, you can go underwater, and, why are they going to call you up for other stuff? So he's complaining to her about that, and she's just got a stinky, face on, and he's like, what's your problem? And she's like, what do you think my problem is? You just forced me to do something I didn't want to do, and now you're acting like nothing happened?
She's like, yeah, and I found that you're just a fish guy.
Yeah, you're just a fish guy.
Which is kind of like
important.
A dig at Aquaman, so I thought that was funny.
Exactly. But, yeah, and then it felt like a whole reality, show. So they wind up, beating up a couple guys, arresting them, and then boom, the cameras are there. And, everybody's smiling and high-fiving. The Deep puts a robe on, like he's ready to go back to his trailer.
Yep.
Like they just filmed their scene. So, yeah, it's kind of like they're doing work, but it's got to be scheduled, and set up.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird they didn't reveal any of this to her before they, signed her contract and brought her on.
She came up thinking, like, I'm actually going to do something here. These people are, superheroes and are rescuing people. And that's what she kind of did back in Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's more, okay, what can we do to make the most money?
Yes.
And make ourselves look good.
Yep. Corporate America.
So, yeah, that's our feel from the first 2 episodes, at least, is how if superheroes were real, how would corporate America monetize them?
Yeah, they totally would.
And then a byproduct of that is how the superheroes then act in everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost look at NFL players, which, a lot of them wild out. I was just looking at news this week about players arriving at practice camp. Some showed up in hot air balloons. One came in a Brinks truck. Like, they're putting on all these extravagant shows, trying to differentiate themselves. And I think you would see the same thing, superheroes, and
I agree.
Try and get a big Nike deal, or, I'm sure A-Train's got a shoe deal.
Oh, definitely. The action figures and everything that comes with it, sponsorships, the percentage of money that the company's charging for them, all sorts of things. But yeah, that's just how big, their heads can get because of how popular they're made to be.
Yep. So we're 2 episodes in, trying to think what I think is going to happen the rest of the season. Well, we already saw Huey and Starlight have met. So I think the 2 of them might end up using each other a little bit later. They're going to build a relationship throughout the season.
Yeah. Huey is trying to, definitely go after A-Train and the 7 as a whole from the outside. And now that Starlight is kind of getting separated from the group and having her own issues from the inside, yeah, the 2 of them meeting are probably going to be a good partnership.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to backfill Translucent as well.
Yeah, he's gone. So we'll see if they replace him right away or what's going to happen there.
I'm also curious more about Carl Urban's character. We really don't know a whole lot about him. As far as we know, there isn't an organization called the Boys yet or anything. So it's really just the 3 of them, and I don't know. I think that'll grow. I think we'll find out a little more about him.
Yeah, where he's obviously not a real FBI agent. He's definitely been in the past. He's got background. He knows people. Mm-hmm. But he's kind of doing his own thing right now. And he kind of came across Huey's character and said, okay, that's my in. Mm-hmm. He's kind of got this grudge now, so I'm going to use that to my advantage.
I did like that Carl Urban had, an old, 80s Buick or something like that, because they put Translucent in the trunk, and back then they didn't have the little pull release to hop out.
He couldn't get out. He was banging away. He couldn't get out.
That was a nice touch, because if they gave him something newer and, the person was stuck in there, of course they'd be able to get out.
Then pop the release.
Yeah, so we'd have to suspend some disbelief then. And they could, just total the car by ramming it into the store, and now he can get something new.
Definitely. So, yeah, my initial thoughts are it's worth watching. We're 2 episodes in. We're going to finish the season, and we'll come back to you guys and let you know what our overall wrap-up is. Mm-hmm. But if you guys are just tuning in or on the fence for watching the show, if you like superheroes, if you like adult shows, mature type content, it's a good show. It's right up the alley of what they're kind of targeting.
Not only that, but go back and watch some of our other episodes on Cinemax's The Warrior. That's another great show, very adult-driven. Just wrapped up the first season, and season 2 will be coming back next year. Yes.
We also talked about Big Little Lies. That's a totally different type of show, but it's good nonetheless. So check those out. Come back. We'll be talking about the rest of this season, as well as more to come.
In September, we got some new type of content we're going to try and see if you guys like that. So definitely hit the subscribe button and come back.
As soon as we have those shows out, you guys will be the first to know.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to follow us on social media, we're at Southport Media on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening and watching. And we'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, everybody.